Hi, this is Sam Bailey back with another tutorial on how to draw an eye. The picture I'm using is of my own eye, but feel free to do another eye. But if you want me to send you the picture of the eye I've worked from, then just inbox me and I'll do that. Now I'm going to try and make the process a lot easier by showing you this grid, which you can place down and which will help you to figure out distances and help you to do the outline. Now you need to draw this grid on both the paper and the picture that you're working from. Now I wouldn't usually use this grid, so if you want to skip this step, just do that and follow on from when I've completed the outline. So once that grid is done, we can etch in the pupil, which is from the very centre, and then the centre line of the 2 points, we can find the edge of the iris. Now the curve of the eye might alter, so I've just done a simple curve from top to bottom, and then I'm going to set it up in the easel and add in the rest of the details. Now most of this tutorial is going to be in time lapse, but I will explain each step as I go so that you can follow. And if I didn't put it in time lapse, you'd be listening to my boring voice for 5 or 6 hours, so that sort of helps. I tend to use an easel because obviously with a straight image you're going to get more accurate distances and a more accurate outline. And then for the rest of the piece I usually put it on a flat surface. I have realised that when I did the grid you can't really see the lines, so you can see now that I've just brought those out with a higher grade pencil. Now that I've added in that detail, you can see that it looks more like an eye. There are a few things that are quite important, such as the tear duct position of that and this bit of shading here, and they both come together to make it look more circular in that position. The eyelashes, they start off by bending to the left, and then in the middle they're straight down like these ones here, and then on the right obviously they bend to the right, and that creates a almost 3D effect. I've added in this crease here, which may not be on the eye that you're doing. Another important part is the highlight on the eye. You don't really need to add too many details in at this point, but I've just added in the eyelashes just to demonstrate that point. On the top eyelashes I've just indicated the position of where they start and end, and then I can add in the details afterwards. Also in the reflection there are actually eyelashes, so I've added those in there. Also the creases on the face, they're quite important. Once you've added the grid, it's easier to compare distances, like the distance from the iris to the tear duct, etc. It's very hard to completely master distances, that's why I've recommended that you use this grid, which helps to compare those distances, but over time you learn to not use the grid and you get better with comparing all these distances, and that way you can produce a perfect outline. So now that we've completed that, we can rub out all those grid lines. So I'm going to start off by adding in the very darkest areas with acrylic paint, and I think the very darkest area is obviously the pupil. So we're also going to try and start inwards and work outwards, that way you're not smudging all your work. So we're going to start off with the iris now, and we're just going to use some pastels, and I prefer to use a brush. You can just put it in with your finger, which I'll probably do as well, but we're just going to be adding in, just giving it some colour and adding in all the little smoky parts, like just around here, just to give it some shadow. And then later on we'll use the coloured pencils to add in all the detail, and for the pastels I'm going to be using these Faber-Castell. Now we've used the colour and pencils just to finish off all the details around here. I've used this burnisher just to add in all the little white areas here. It's good to not work in straight lines, because a lot of people think that the iris is made up of, all the little details are made up of straight lines, but they're actually not. It's usually squiggly lines like around here, and see on the reflection of the eye that that's actually the inner details of a window. So on the rest of the eye we're just going to repeat the process of adding the pastels and then finishing up and polishing up the details with the colour and pencils. Especially on parts like the tear duct, you don't really need to add too much to that, because most of that is made up of shine. And don't worry about making it absolutely perfect for now, because at the end we're going to add some acrylic highlights which will really bring that out. As you're going along, especially if you've used a very dark pencil, just rub out all your lines, and then you can really give it that tone that it needs. At this point it's just a case of keeping focus, picking your colours wisely, taking time to pick the colours, and just being very subtle. If you're doing the same eye as me, then you may have to tackle these dots just below the eye here, and a good way to do those is just to, after you've applied the pastels, go along with a white pencil and just scratch away the remaining pastels on that area. Close-up in images like this, especially big ones, won't look as good when you look at them from a very close angle. They'll look better when you look far away. Best way is to just have faith in what you're doing, and that way you'll enjoy what you're doing, and then it will come out as best as you can make it. Again, when doing the eyelashes, make sure you curve from left to right. You don't have to copy every single hair, but if you do choose to, that's a good technique to do. If you don't want to follow every hair, then just make sure that you do curve from left to right or right to left, because then you'll get that nice 3D effect on the upper lip and lower lip of the eyelids. At this point, it's just a case of polishing up what you've already completed and getting it ready for when you add those nice acrylic highlights. But you do have to be sure that you've completed everything before adding those, because then they're not as effective. If your image looks good before you add the highlights, then it's going to look fantastic when you've actually added them. When you're adding the acrylic paint, try to blend it into the pastels so that you come into a gradient and not just some sharp white splodges on the eye. Now that those acrylic highlights have been left to dry for maybe 5 minutes, we can spray it with some hairspray just to seal in all those powders and pencils, and then it should bring out the colour and it should be complete. If you guys need any more information on what I've done here, just let me know. Please let me know how my eye is doing. Also, as I've already mentioned in this video, if you need the original image that I used, or you need a picture of the grid which I used, then just inbox me and I'll send those to you. I hope this video has been of use to you. If you want to see a more sped up version, then check out the speed sketch of it. Please comment and let me know how I'm doing, how I can improve my videos. If you're feeling brave, subscribe to me. Other than that, thanks for watching.